What's up, guys? Doug Polk here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the best highlights from last week's podcast with Richard Hart. In general, I'm going to stay away from doing highlights on this channel. However, especially out of the gate, it's a new podcast, and I obviously wanted to succeed. We've had some great guests on so far. We obviously have Charlie Lee coming on later today at 3:30 Pacific time. So essentially, I just want to make sure that people get a taste for what we're doing, so that if you do like it, you can head over to the podcast channel and check it out. Some of the clips we're going to look at today include Richard Hart's feelings on Craig Wright, otherwise known as Fake Satoshi, and also his opinions on IOTA. I had a lot of fun in this podcast, and it definitely had its interesting moments, so I'd recommend watching this video if you haven't seen it yet, and if you're interested to see more, the link is in the description below. That's going to be enough for me. Let's go ahead and take a jump in and look at some of the best moments from Thursday's podcast. Let's talk about something that came up recently with this lawsuit with Craig Wright about this $10 billion worth of Bitcoin that he apparently stole. What are your thoughts there? I know I asked actually the public, I asked everyone, what do you guys want us to talk about? And you responded saying you want to talk about this. So I was like, all right, let's go for it.
Yeah, like when I come to interviews, people reach out to me and then we just talk about whatever shows up. I never really have a plan. So Craig Wright was just the hot topic at the moment. That's why I messaged it. So if let's imagine, now we're going to play a game here because I don't feel like being sued for libel or slander. So we're just going to play a game in an alternate universe. I want you to imagine that you live in Australia where the government has a tax incentive program where they give you millions of dollars in tax credits for doing research, okay? Now I want you to imagine that you took those tax credits but didn't actually do any research. Well, now you're fucked, right? You committed fraud. You've got a problem. So what do you do to buy yourself out of that problem? Well, you pretend that you did research and you look for receipts. You're like, oh shit, I need some receipts that show that I spent this money in research. Okay. Well, maybe my receipt will be for a supercomputer, but not mining machines. Why would I buy mining machines? I'm going to buy a supercomputer that just models the network. No, right? So the ATO, the Australian Tax Authority, like looks over the paperwork and is like, this is all bullshit. These are like offshore companies with no work product or research output whatsoever. You scammed us. You fucked us out of our tax credits, right? So then dude flees the country, right? You can read about it. And then he starts selling this idea that one, he's got a supercomputer doing research that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars to justify tax credits. And then he also has got all these ideas to do infinite scaling on chain. And just anyone that'll, and then he starts pretending he's Satoshi, goes on television, says he's Satoshi. He says he's going to sign a thing proving he's Satoshi, uses a fake signature. People look it over and go, hey, this is fake.
Yeah, that was the moment where, in my eyes, he lost all credibility because you can just verify the transaction using those keys, right? And he couldn't do it. So he's clearly not Satoshi.
Right. If you made a system based on getting rid of trust called Bitcoin, and it runs on digital signatures, it literally, the whole idea of the system is we replace trust with digital signatures. And then the guy that invented it's like, yo, I invented this, but I can't use, I can't prove it because I don't have any signatures, just this fake one, right? And then he says, I'm never going to be seen again. This is crap. It's too much stress. I'm never going to be in the public eye again. And he's doing television interviews like 6 months later, right? And so now what's another way that you could invent an excuse to not get busted by the tax authority? You have a fake partner who's dead, and he's the guy that actually had the value and the stuff. And I would show you all this cool stuff that we had, but my partner died, right? So if you look into the David Kleeman's history, the guy that he said was one of 3 people to be part of being a Satoshi, the guy he wasn't on the mailing list for cypherpunks, and he didn't produce any type of work product that was similar to or related to the stuff that Bitcoin's made of. He was a forensic guy, right? So he'd go in and look for deleted data off of hard drives. That skill set, that thing, has just about nothing at all to do with elliptic curve cryptography and peer-to-peer networking, and just totally unrelated, right? So the guy tangentially kind of did something with computers, but nothing of the things that would have made Bitcoin Bitcoin. So It's just another. Imagine you're the family, and some guy emails you and is like, "Hey, check your dead family's member's computer for wallet.dat. I won't explain to you why right now, but I just want to help you learn about your dead son. I'll let you know when I'm in Florida." This sounds a little shady. Why don't you just tell them that the money is there? Like, if you have the wallet debt, you don't need any other help. That's the money, right? Like, you drop it in this directory, you double click your bitcoin.exe, there's your money. Okay, there's no extra work required. So it's just scammy all the way around, dude. It's just like Kim.com, right? You look at his history, you're like, oh, sued for fraud. Oh, changed his name. Oh, like, here's his list of emails paying people to do shady shit. You're like, yo, you got busted. You used emails. You did shady shit. You got busted. You have a history doing shady shit. Stop trying to act like you ain't shady as fuck. You are, right? Like,
How do people like this manage to continually convince people? Because the thing is, like, he actually does have some allies. Roger Ver seems to be at least somewhat close to him. Although there was a recent edit on this case, on this lawsuit, where I think Roger's name was removed in an
yeah,
updated version. I'm not sure if you totally saw that.
yeah, I know what's up with
What,
it.
what were your thoughts on that?
Well, if you look up, so in the emails, the money that fake Satoshi is trying to say was in his possession, they've already done chain analysis. So when everyone got robbed at Mt. Gox, some very intelligent chain analysis people went into seeing who the fuck stole our money. They got pretty pissed off about losing, hundreds of thousands.
Rightfully so. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin, right? And so they went through, and there was leaked data from that, so you could see how many thousands of Bitcoin everyone had. Roger was on the list. A lot of other big names in the space are on the list, and now those coins are in this lawsuit, and so we know who owns them. Like that big wall. So that address that fake Satoshi's claiming there, it just happens to be the largest address of all wallets in the ecosystem. So stupidly, just like when people lie about how they trade, they always sold the exact top and they always bought the exact bottom. It's a very stupid fucking way to lie, right? Like apparently advanced lying is you do something that's not the absolute like perfect fucking thing, right?
Right.
So what did Craig claim? Oh, it's the largest fucking Bitcoin wallet, which I add still has activity on it today. So how exactly is the dead guy still transacting with the wallet? And it was already traced to Dread Pirate Roberts in the Silk Road. So it has nothing to fucking do with him or his stupid story, his fraudulent bullshit. Uh, and anyway, so when people started looking up the chain analysis tools and looking at the different addresses that were labeled, Rogers was like, hey man, like, can you take my name off that shit? So now his name's not attached to a certain Bitcoin address, but everybody knows.
So I'm not a huge believer in technical analysis, and I also think that there were a lot of people making calls. So not to take away from if you know exactly what's going on, you have a really good idea of technical analysis and how to use it for Bitcoin to make calls. But I just see so many people making calls all the time that it kind of just seems like people are throwing darts. So
Yep.
you maybe explain to me why you believe in technical analysis and also how people can maybe decipher between the bullshit artists who are essentially just throwing darts and then people that actually have knowledge of what's going on.
Well, I mean, so if you look on TradingView, which is the tool most chartists use, there's a feature that was just rolled out maybe 30, 40 days ago where you can blind yourself to the current situation and go to the past, make a prediction, and then tick by tick, bar by bar, watch what actually happened. And you can even do that in people's old price calls. You can see their price call, click the play button, and see what actually happened. And if someone cared to, you could even automate that process with a bot, because this really is just data analysis. So the people that have historically good calls, if you're on the leaderboard of BitMEX, use my affiliate link. Use my affiliate link. If you're on the leaderboard of BitMEX, you didn't get there by accident. And if you've stayed there for a long time, you're obviously not a fuckwit. You're doing something better than everyone else. So there are people that can show you their equity curves and their returns on investment if you know them well enough that you go, oh yeah, you beat just holding Bitcoin by a lot, right? I could do that, right? Like you could look at the return on equity and be like, yep, okay, I know what's going on. if a person doesn't show you their equity curve or their past predictions were wrong, it's very likely they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's very easy to be wrong, right? So, but for me, like if you're a moving average guy, I don't really like moving averages that much. I prefer trend lines. At extremes, I prefer price action, long short ratios, longer time frame RSIs. You know, like so let's just take an indicator like RSI. As a human being, you think you know what cheap is, and you think you know what expensive is, but you have a tendency to not zoom out far enough. And so the RSI is going to tell you what actually cheap is, what actually expensive is, you know, because it compares what it's been doing recently, right? It's just like the Bollinger Band. It's going to tell you with the price action as how it's been, we're likely to get movements in this range because we've analyzed what the old movements look like. That's why the deviation that was there, we standardized it, and this is what's likely to happen. So using that statistical analysis, it helps, right? And then the trend lines work because everyone's looking at the same data. It's like dancing with a partner, right? So all the traders are dancing with each other. They know what the game is. They know we're going to sell here and wait to see what happens, and we're going to buy here and wait to see what happens. And everybody that's not in on that game plan, they bought and sold in the middle.
So can you talk a little bit about IOTA
Sure.
and your thoughts on it? And you don't have to do the whole spiel, but just a good overview might be nice.
Yeah. So in cryptocurrencies, we have these things called wallets, and they're called wallets because they store things, and the things they store are your private keys, which gives you access to the public keys that have the money on the blockchain. So if you have a wallet that doesn't store any keys, it's not a fucking wallet. It's just node software. Okay. And you can run a node and it can help people download the blockchain and move transactions around and shit, but there ain't no wallet in it. Okay. So IOTA does not have a wallet. There's no wallet. You have to make your own private key. Huh? Yeah, you have to generate securely your own like 27-digit character seed that only has the number 9 in it, and it has to have nines, and it only can use capital letters. You have to generate that. Then you input it in clear text into their shit node software. And then you have no idea how much money you have. You have to click attach manually again and again and again to try and see how much money you maybe have if the node that you're connected to thinks you have it. And not all the nodes agree on how much money you have. So if you create your own key, and if you install their fake wallet software, which is really just a node, and you didn't have a fucked up random number generator, which made your key insecure, which has happened in Bitcoin. We used to have Android wallets that used bad cryptography, and then people would just get all their money stolen because they could reverse engineer the key because it was a bad RNG. So if you do all that, and then you click attach enough, and you can finally find your balance, then you have the pleasure of trying to send the money to exchange to dump this shit. And then you find out the exchange wallet doesn't work. It's offline for maintenance because they're having the same problems you are. Because they're running the same software you are. Oh, fuck. So maybe the exchange wallet comes up, and maybe now you found your balance, and maybe now you want to dump this piece of shit. Now you get to start trying to cycle through different nodes and hope that one of the transactions goes through and doesn't go from confirmed to unconfirmed in front of your own fucking eyes. Now imagine you're a retailer and you're trying to sell something. You get some money and you're like, oh, confirmed. Here's your car. Unconfirmed. Hey, bring the car back, please. Please. So fucking terrible. So it's the only cryptocurrency that doesn't have a wallet. It's the only cryptocurrency that I've seen a transaction go from confirmed to unconfirmed in front of my own fucking eyes. And the nodes don't even agree with each other. So what do you have? Like what exactly?
Sorry, how exactly is that possible for it to go to from confirmed to unconfirmed? What's the point of having confirmed
if you want to make bad and broken things, it's much easier to make bad and broken things than it is to make things that work. Like the set of all things that is bad and broken is infinite, and the set of things that work is extremely small. It is a piece of shit trash fire project that doesn't do correctly the only thing that matters, which is consensus. This agrees with that, agrees with that. We're all on the same page. It's the only reason to not just have a SQL database. You could have a normal SQL database like every other company in the world, right? If you don't want to use a SQL database, you want to use something that's extremely expensive and extremely slow, you better get something for it, and it better be global consensus with protection from double spends. Oh, and by the way, you can double spend their shit too. Like basically every security researcher from Matthew Green to the DCI from MIT, their media lab, like I could go down the list of security researchers that have said what a terrible piece of trash fire shit this thing is with a broken hash function called curl p.
That's going to do it here for me. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And if you're interested in checking out the entire podcast with Richard Hart, you can do so at the link in the description below. Also, make sure to not miss out today as Charlie Lee is going to be stopping by the channel. We got a lot of great questions lined up, so I think it should be a good one. I'll see you there.